The purpose of this video is to cover the topic of how to fit an internal hard drive onto this 16-channel DVR from IQ CCTV. So basically anyway, the only tool we need primarily is this Phillips screwdriver, and what we've done is we've removed the outer casing here already, the screws holding in place. You can see them just listed here. So basically we have 2 Phillips screws either side, and then we have a total of 4 screws along the back, making a total of 8 screws. So what I just is, I'll just remove the cover here, and when we look into the DVR itself, we can see we actually have a mounting point here for holding the actual the internal hard drive. So before we move on to internal hard drive, I'm just going to give the basics here. Ideally what you should be doing in terms of preventing static damage to the drive itself is wearing an anti-static strap, or at the very minimum earthing yourself off the housing of the actual DVR here itself. So if we pick up the internal hard drive, we can see here that we have connections on this end for connecting both power and data into and corresponding cables in here. So what we basically want to do is we want to mount it here into this mounts here. The difficulty, and we have a series of screws then, we can see at the holes here, here, here and here at the different corners, which are capable of holding the actual DVR or the actual internal hard drive itself. The difficulty we have here is that it's easy to screw in the 2 holes from this side, the screws from this side, but impossible from the front, simply because we just have no access into it. So because we want to be secured with 4 screws, what we've made the decision to do is we're actually just going to remove this housing here from the actual DVR itself. So that's the first one there, and the second one here. Now, so that's it. So here and here, and I'll just put these screws there at that point. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this DVR slightly out of the way for now, and I'm just going to pick up my Phillips screwdriver. I'll pick up DVR, I'll angle it the way I want, which is this way, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lean it on the worktop here, and I'll pick up this actual bracket here now. And we can see here that the holes at the corners here line up perfectly. Okay, so the first thing here is just to drop this screw in place, pick up my Phillips screwdriver, and screw this into place. Okay, and I'm going to repeat the same process at this corner here. And screw it in like this. So now we have on this side it mounted into the frame. So what I'll do now is I'll just touch the AC again. I'm just going to slide this DVR back down into position here. So now what we can do is we can actually come along, we'll slide this in, and now we have a slightly tricky process of trying to mount this onto the existing holes that are here. Okay, so what we need to do is go and find the original screws that we had here, which I'll do at this point here. I just need it. That's one that we've firmly fixed now, and I'll pick up the next one here, repeat the process, lock that into position, and I'll just repeat the process here. Now I'm just going to rotate this around if I can, and then just a little bit of pulling on the hard drive is all that's required here. That's it, and repeat the process here. Final screw, and you can see anyway we have the internal hard drive extremely securely locked in position now. Now the final step of the process, and sometimes you can do this before you actually put in the hard drive, is actually connect the cables itself. Okay, so I'm just going to rotate this around here so you can see anyway. So the first thing here would actually be to get this power cable here and the data cable. So I might just connect the data cable here first. So you can see there's actual notch that lines up with what we want to do here. So you see there's a notch here in this and a similar notch down below. So we're going to do, let's just come along and slide that in like this. And the next part of the process, once we see again, we'll see a notch on the end of this, and we just slide it in to match up with that. And that slides it in quite well. So the next step then would be actually just put the cover back on, and the next video in the series will cover the whole area of how to format that, etc. So that's it anyway, an overview of how to add on an internal hard drive onto the 16 channel DVR from iQCCTV.